Hey everybody! Just had a thought. Well, actually, I've just had a thought. I wrote this blog this week, which quite a lot of people have been commenting on, and it's entitled "What Can We Learn About Social Media from the Mister Men?" Now, what I realised is the Mister Men, which is little stories that we used to read as kids. Give me some hearts if you used to read the Mister Men, or used to have the Mister Men read to you a bedtime story. So smash me some hearts if you know what I'm talking about. The Mister Men stories, which were by Roger Hargreaves, were brilliant. Lessons for kids. Okay, speak up. I'm in a pub. Shocking. I can't speak up. I'm trying to keep it nice and natural. Hi Matt, how are you? Hi Bobby. So the Mr. Men were great stories, read by. I love you too, Matt. Read by, or should I say, written by Roger Hargreaves. Great stories. Really good lessons. So this week on the blog, what I did was decide that there are some great lessons. Hi Kirk, how are you? Are you in a cupboard? No, this is my office, but I'm kind of in the dark, so I put this little light here. It looks like I'm being interrogated, but I'm not. So the Mr. Men stories, great stories, brilliant for kids because the lessons are very under the radar. We don't like being taught, do we? Why is this in black and white? Your reception is awful. Mr. Men, Dougie, Mr. Men. The lessons are under the radar. As kids, we don't like being taught anything, do we? We think we know everything, especially when we're 8, like my son. So the Mr. Men stories were fantastic. What I realised was that the messages in the Mr. Men are perfect for most things, but also for social media. So I'm going to run through a couple of them because this has been getting some great reaction on social media this week. The lessons we can learn from social media. So this is what the Mr. Men can teach you about social media. So from the top, in no particular order, Mr. Strong. Mr. Strong eats eggs every day. That's got nothing to do with social media, but it's got everything to do with consistency. And having a good consistency gives you a good base to work from for your social media. So if you're consistently doing the right things or the same things, Mr. Strong, of course, he's brilliant. Mr. Strong uses the same starting point, if you like, the same consistency to give him a really, really good platform to build from. And that's what you should do with your social media. Mr. Bump. Hey, Matt, Jetpack Squirrel smashed it. We made Mr. Social. We'll get to him in a minute. Mr. Bump. Mr. Bump crashes into shit all the time. He does not know where he's going. Okay? The thing is, hey, Mexico, how are you? The thing with Mr. Bump is he doesn't know where he's going because he doesn't plan it. You must plan your social media. You must plan where you're going. Mr. Bump does not. So, if you plan where you're going, you won't bump into things, you'll do a better job of your social media. Mr. Happy. The thing is, if you're happy on social media, everyone's going to come towards you. If you're a miserable shit, people aren't going to come towards you. Okay? Too many people whinge on social media, and that's not a good way to attract people to you. So be happy. Mr. Happy is big, fat, round, and happy. You don't have to be big and fat, but you can just be round. Okay? Or is that happy? Be happy. Just be happy on social media. Okay? Mr. Tickle. This was my favourite one. This was the one when I was writing it. Positivity breeds positivity. Absolutely bang on, Social Georgie. Bang on. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Mr. Tickle. This was my favourite one. Mr. Tickle interrupts people's day. Okay? The story, he walks around and he tickles people for miles around and he interrupts their day. You should interrupt other people's day. Your marketing should interrupt other people's day, but in a good way. So who can you tickle? Okay? Who can you tickle and interrupt is the message from Mr. Tickle. Little Miss Chatterbox, right? No prizes for guessing that Little Miss Chatterbox talks a lot, okay? You should talk a lot on social media, but not too much. Sometimes it's good to shut up and listen to other people. And Little Miss Chatterbox, the lesson that we learned from her is definitely talk, but don't talk too much, okay? Mr. Clever was a good one. Mr. Clever knew everything about everything, and there wasn't anything he didn't know about. You don't necessarily have to know everything about everything, but you know a lot about your business, and that is a very useful thing to push on social media. So if you know a lot about something, definitely share that on social media, because if you're an expert in what you do, people are going to come to your business and buy from you. Okay? That's simple, and you can use that on Periscope, Twitter, blogs, anything that you use. Mr. Daydream. Forgive me looking over here, I'm just reminding myself. Mr. Daydream. Doesn't get anything done, does he? He's daydreaming. Mr. Spooky. Was that a real one? I don't believe that, Matt. Mr. Daydream didn't get nothing done because he daydreamed. Okay? Now, if you're on social media and you're looking at cat videos and you're watching Matt Bates' YouTube channel, all of a sudden you forget what you're doing. Don't daydream. Have a focus on what you're doing. What are you trying to achieve on social media? Do that. Try not to daydream. It's really, really easy to daydream. Trust me, I'm on social media all day long and I daydream a lot. Mr. Greedy was my favourite one, I think, actually, above Mr. Tickle. Because Mr. Greedy is something I come across a lot. Mr. Greedy, for me, is businesses that just take on every single social media channel that they can get. Oh, I've got to be on Instagram and Pinterest and Snapchat and everything else. Matt, I love you, man. Don't take on every single social media channel. Take on the ones that you are good at and the ones that your customers are on, because they are the ones where you're going to get the most for your business, okay? Mr. Lazy, don't be lazy. Bobby, you are not Mr. Lazy. I've seen your travels. You must have a passport the size of this, full of all the stamps. So don't be Mr. Greedy. Don't take on too much, because I find companies that just do way too much, and they are mediocre at many and not very good at a few. And that's what you need to be. You need to be good at a few things, okay? Mr. Noisy, some might say I'm Mr. Noisy. Mr. Noisy was very, very noisy, and everything he said was very, very loud. Now that's a good thing, because you need to be heard above the rest, but don't spend all day long shouting your message. Don't piss people off. Don't be taking over the timelines and people's conversations, okay? Mr. Noisy was good because he interrupted things, but don't be noisy all the time, okay? Absolutely, Bobby. I'm just shared that on Twitter. I'm looking forward to coming down to London and teaching some more of this stuff. Mr. Nobody. Okay, did anyone know there was a Mr. Nobody? There is a Mr. Nobody. I found him. It's actually real. Maybe we didn't know about him because he was nobody. The thing is, if you're on Periscope and you're not broadcasting, you're a nobody. If you have a Twitter account and you don't tweet, you're a nobody. And if you have a Facebook page and you don't use it, you're Mr. Nobody. The lesson we learned from Mr. Nobody is you must use your social media if you sign up to it. Signing up to it ain't nothing if you don't use it, okay? You are just Mr. Nobody. Nobody knew Mr. Nobody existed, including me. I found him on a website. Didn't even know he existed. There's a few more here. Mr. Brave was a favourite one of mine too. So Mr. Brave, the lesson we learned from Mr. Brave with our social media is be brave. Nobody knows nobody. Exactly, Georgie. Mr. Brave was brave, and he tried a lot of new things. With your social media, with anything really in your business, be brave. Try different stuff. If you only ever tweet on a Sunday, how do you know if it's good on a Tuesday? If you've never broadcast on Periscope, how do you know it won't work for you? If you've only ever blogged once a month, how do you know once a week won't be good for you? This is what you need to do on your social media. This is the best bedtime story ever. Matt, I'll read you a bedtime story any night. Mr. Quiet. It's dull, isn't it, being quiet? Don't be quiet. Share what you're up to. No one can ever accuse me of being quiet. People often say to me, oh, yeah, I've seen you a lot. You're always on social media. You need to be there. You need to talk about what you're doing. Don't shout like Mr. Noisy, but, you need to be talking and sharing what you're up to. Did we mention Mr. Honest? Well, I'm Mr. Honest. I think I'm honest. Yeah? Why not? Bobby and Matt, you're talking. You two would get on. That would work quite well. Few more here. Here's a bugbear of mine. Mr. Grumpy. Who's got friends on Facebook that just put on there, or meh, or oh my God, what an awful day, and it's expect you to call them up or text them? We don't need that shit. We need people who are happy, like Mr. Happy. Positivity breeds positivity. Don't whinge on social media. Don't tell me your business is quiet on social media. Don't update your blog with a rant. Well, maybe I've done that myself, but try and be positive. Try and be positive, because positivity breeds positivity. Okay, Mr. Wrong. Now, you might think that I'm going to tell you not to get it wrong, but actually I'm going to encourage you to get it wrong, because without failure we don't learn anything, and you'll never know how good something is if you don't try it. And I've tried stuff and it's not worked, and it hurts, okay? You think, oh shit, I wanted to be really good at that, but actually you need to fail to learn. And it goes back to Mr. Brave. You need to be brave, and then you need to be wrong, and then you need to learn from it, and then you'll get better at it. That's what life is about, and that's what social media is about. And time again, I find people, I can't publish my blog because it's not quite right. Or I don't want to go in the studio this week because I haven't quite got it right. Just get on with it and do it. Don't be the big companies that I ranted about on Periscope before I went to Ireland a couple of weeks ago, who spend hours and hours and hours coming up with stuff, right? Just get it out there. Matt, get it out there. I know your videos are polished and everything else, but sometimes just need something real. Look at this. This ain't no studio. This is a light in my office because the lights aren't working. I had a great thought and I'm sharing it on Periscope. Who cares? Let's get it out there. This goes down to Mr. Perfect too. Try not to be perfect, right? So Mr. Wrong and Mr. Perfect kind of work quite well. You need to read the blog to get the rest of them. My favourite one, okay? Thank you, Georgie. Thank you very much. My favourite one was, I'm going to turn it around because it's good. This might not work, but we're going to turn it around anyway. I'm going to show you my favourite Mr. Man. Look at him. This is my favourite Mr. Man. Okay? Now, fans out there will know that is not a real Mr. Man. that is Mr. Social, and I made him up. Okay, Mr. Social is all the key elements of the good bits of the Mr. Men that I mentioned in the blog, all bumped together. So he absolutely chooses the right social network. He absolutely is happy. He's positive. He's not negative. He doesn't forget to use it. He uses the right platform. Right, it's me. It is me. Okay, Mr. Social is me. But so myself and Matt from Jetpack Squirrel, we came up with Mr. Social, and you can see him on the blog. Basically, the learnings from the blog are: look at the stories in the Mr. Men. There are so many lessons in the Mr. Man. Each book has a lesson in it, and you can relate that to most things in your life. But I had a bit of fun with it this week. It almost had my beard. We could have done that, you know. You could have done that, Matt. That's a lot of drawings, you know, to have the beard on it. So there's a load of lessons, right? There's a load of lessons in the Mr. Men stories, and it just came to me the other week. My personal trainer was in a pub in Leamington, and they've got Mr. Men books, and they give them to you with the receipt. I think it's a random thing, and he was chortling up one of the messages in there, and I thought, you know, there's some good messages in those books. When we were kids, we were taught really, really good messages that you probably live by today. And that's the thing with social, and that's the thing that I teach most people with social media is it's no different to stuff you already do. Okay, the drawing board, absolutely, Johnny, that's where it is. It's no different to everything else you do just because you're behind a keyboard. And I call these people keyboard heroes, right? You get behind a keyboard, you get a bit brave, and you think, oh, I don't need to build relationships and be nice and share useful stuff. I'm just going to try and sell to people. No, it's exactly the same as in real life. And all these lessons that we learned when we were kids, you can relate to social media. If you want to read more about that, if you want to read the entire blog, it's getting a lot of interaction today. I just thought I'd share it with you guys. Go to my website, spaghettyagency.co.uk, and go to the blog. It's the latest one on there. You'll see it because it's got loads of little Mr. Men in there. WBC joined. Welcome back, Bobby. You're still struggling with this glitchy Periscope, aren't you? Is it your great godson or twice removed cousin or something that works on Periscope? Tell him it's glitchy, okay? It's not working out. But this is my second scope of the day. I'm now going to cook some dinner. I won't share that with you because it's quite dull. So cheers, Bobby. Cheers, everybody. Give me some hearts if you thought this was a good scope. Apparently that's useful. Thank you for the advice. Yeah, watch it back. There's loads in there. Or go to the blog. So spaghettyagency.co.uk and the latest blog on there. What we can learn from the Mr. Men. Thank you for the hearts. Bless you. What we can learn from the Mr. Men for our social media. Trust me. There are such simple learnings in those books that you can apply to most things in your life, right? Hearts galore. Bless you all. Mwah. What time's dinner? Dinner is in. To be fair, it should have been in about 20 minutes ago, but Joe's just come back and said I've got to do a Periscope. I've had a great idea. So you are holding my dinner, but it's all good. It's fine. It's fine. So I'm going to leave that with you now. Have a think about it. Have a read on the website. Let me know what you think. Social Media Todd on Twitter, or leave me a comment on the blog. It's been good chatting with you. See you later. Bye.